Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm here to break down the college basketball slate on January 6th. We got a good day of games, a lot of pretty good basketball games that we're going to get into. But before I do that, if you're new here, make sure to leave a like on this video and subscribe to this channel. It really helps me grow. Leave a comment, turn on notification bell, all that stuff really helps me grow. Just trying to continue to grow throughout college basketball. Starting up NBA videos next week. NBA is already going, but I've been really busy with Christmas and family and stuff, so I'm going to have to push that to next week to really get started with going NBA, but that'll be every single day NBA videos, so be sure to stick around for that. If you want to get this spreadsheet along with projections for today's slate and every single slate for the rest of the year for only $5 a month, hit that link down below. You can go subscribe to that, and every single day you'll get projections. I'm not always able to make a college basketball video every single day, but I do always do the spreadsheet and the projections every single day. So go hit that link down below. But I think that's really all I got to say on that. Let's get into the players because I know that's what all of you want to hear about. We're going to start with the Duke basketball players going up against Boston College today. This game may not happen because Duke still has not played in like about a month now, so I don't really know. It hasn't been canceled yet, but I would not be that surprised if it is canceled, so just be on the lookout for that. There are 3 games on today's slate that have pretty high totals with 150, 151, and 152. This is one of them. The Duke Boston College game does have a total of 150. Duke has an implied game or team total of 81.3. Which are both higher than average for them, so this is going to be a really good spot for Duke. It is going to be a pace-up spot for Duke as well, and the average game pace is 74.75 for this game. So that's one of the highest paced games of the entire slate. So yeah, Duke's in a pretty good spot here against Boston College. Jeremy Roach and Matthew Hurt are going to be the 2 guys I'm interested in on this team. Jeremy Roach is only $5,200. I have him projected for 35 minutes today. He's only a 0.64 point per minute guy, but he does have a usage rate of 16.7 and an assist rate of 18.7. It's just the fact that I have him projected for 35 minutes and he's only $5,200. That projects out as a really good value for me, so that is totally someone that I do want to get into my pool of players. That he does look like a pretty solid play today. Matthew Hurt is $8,600. I have him projected for 38 minutes. He's a 1.02 fantasy point per minute producer. He's usage rate 23.8 and a rebound rate of 12.9. Matthew Hurt's been their best player so far this year. I would assume that he continues to be the most highest usage guy on his team, coming back from a long break because he was really the only guy on his team other than Jalen Johnson who is out, who was doing anything on his team. They've just been bad. It's weird seeing Duke, North Carolina, Kentucky bad this year. So, and Michigan State, to be honest, all 3 of those teams kind of struggling. But yeah, Matthew Hurt is definitely someone I am interested in a good spot. Now we're going to go look at Carla Jones for Louisville. They're going to be going up against Virginia Tech today. This game isn't a great game environment, I think, for Draftkings. Really, it's why I only have one guy on Louisville, and I'm kind of somewhat interested. This game has a line of 131.5. Louisville only has an implied team total of 68.3. That's pretty low on the slate. When you go look at this game, it has an average game pace of 68.6, which is the lowest game pace of the entire slate today. So this is not really a game that I'm really all that interested in, but if you did want to go to one guy, I think Carla Jones is probably the only guy in Louisville I would go to. Maybe David Johnson, but probably more Carla Jones. I have him projected for 38 minutes. He's a 0.89 point per minute producer with a usage rate of 26.4 and an assist rate of 27.8. So he's pretty much their best player. I mean, he's their most expensive player, so that makes sense. If you did want to go to anyone, get exposure to this game from Louisville side, I think this is the spot I would go to. And I'm just going to go talk about Keve Aluma before I get into the Boston College player I'm interested in. Keve Aluma is the player on Virginia Tech that I'm interested in. Like I said, this game is not something I'm really too interested in, especially with Virginia Tech only having an applied team total of 64.1. That's really low. Pace of the game is going to be really low, but Keve Aluma, I have him projected for 32 minutes. And he has a usage rate of 28.8, and he's a 1.07 point per minute producer. That's just, I mean, for his high usage rate of 28.8, I think that's really good for his salary. You don't usually get $7,400 with that high of a usage rate, so I do think that is who's going to play as many minutes as he does. So Keve Aluma is probably the one guy in Virginia Tech I would be interested in. Still, probably not all that interested in the whole team as a whole, but definitely this is someone that I do have slight interest in. Now, Boston College, we talked about Duke, about how much we like this game because it's a high total, fast-paced game. But the problem with Boston College is, like, everything for them is, like, worse than normal. Like, it's a huge pace-down spot for Boston College. It is also, they're projected to score less points than on average. I mean, on average, they've been scoring 73.3 points per game. They're only projected to score 68.4 today. So the Boston College guys don't project out too well, but it is still a really high total game, high-paced game. I do like targeting that. But then Winston Tabbs is only $5,900, and I have him projected for 28 minutes, and he has a 27.9 usage rate. He's, like I said, I was talking about Keve Aluma, about how, like, you don't get these usage rates at that lower price, but Winston Tabbs is lower price, so a 27.9 usage rate. He just doesn't play as many minutes on average. I gave him 28 today. I think he looks like a pretty solid play. If you want to get exposure from the Boston College side of this game, that is probably where I would go. I just, a lot of these guys just aren't priced really well for me on Boston College. I really want to get to them. I definitely like the Duke side of this game more. Now we're going to go look at Tennessee and Arkansas. These two teams face off today or tonight in a big SEC game. These are two of the best SEC teams. SEC is underrated, in my opinion. When you go look at the total in this game, it has a total of 142.5. Pretty solid total. Tennessee has an implied team total of 75.2, though. That is one of the higher ones on the entire slate. That does look very good for them. Arkansas, though, only has an implied team total of 66.1. That is not as desirable, in my opinion, but I think both teams are still in a fine spot. Go look at the average pace of this game. It's going to be 73.4. It's pretty much the average for today. You see the average pace for today is 73.3. This game is going to be a 73.4 pace game. You have Josiah James and Jaden Springer are going to be the two guys I'm interested in from Tennessee. Josiah James Jordan, that's his real name, that's his full name. He's $6,700. Ivan rejected for 32 minutes. He's a 1.04 point per minute producer with a usage rate of 16.4, an assist rate of 18.6, and a rebound rate of 13.8. He just kind of does a little bit of everything for this team. He's a good price, $6,700. I think that looks like a pretty solid spot. And then Jaden Springer is coming back from an injury. He missed the last game against Bama when they lost. That was probably a big reason why they lost. This is their big 5-star freshman they brought in this year. He's $5,500 though. I gave him 25 minutes. He might play a little less coming off an injury. This is probably something to pay attention to with beat reporters and everything. But if he plays, he's in a really good spot at $5,500. He's a 1.05 point per minute producer. His usage rate 24.8 and an assist rate 16.2. All that grades out really well for someone $5,500 in a good matchup against Arkansas. So I do think Jaden Springer does look like a pretty solid option today. The one guy in Arkansas I'm going to be interested in is Jaden Note. I think that's how you say his name. $7,000. Ivan projected for 31 minutes. He's a 1.19 point per minute producer. He has a usage rate of 30.6 and an assist rate of 19.4. Just good rates all around. And there is no Smith. The Smith guy's out. I forgot his first name, but he's out, so that's going to free up some usage for him probably. He's probably going to have a little bit higher usage than 30.9 today. So I think JD Note is probably a really, really top option today on the slate. Now we're going to go to Ole Miss. The Ole Miss-Auburn game, this is not really a game I'm all that interested in at all. We'll get to the Auburn player a little bit later. But 138 team implied game total. Ole Miss has an implied team total of 72.9. It's okay. It's just really not that great of a spot. If I want to get anywhere from this team, from Ole Miss, it'd be KJ Buffin, $7,200. Ivan projected for 35 minutes. He's a 1.08 point per minute producer. He has a usage rate 22.4, which is the highest on the team. He has a pretty good assist rate, 13.4, and a good rebound rate at 13. So kind of just contributing everywhere. I think that's fine for him. I think there's better plays, and I'd rather play JD Note for $200 less, to be completely honest. But if you want to get exposure to Ole Miss, I think KJ Buffin's probably the way you go. Now we're going to go to Michigan and Minnesota, where you see there's 4 Michigan players that I'm interested in. Yeah, I really like Michigan's spot today. This game is the highest implied team total or game total of the day at 152. Michigan has an implied team total of 79. That's really high for them as well. When you look at the pace of this game, it has a pace of 75.1. That is going to be the fastest paced game of the day. I believe it's faster than Duke's, right? Yeah, it's faster than Duke's. It is the fastest paced game of the day. This is going to be a really, really good spot for both these teams. Maybe more Michigan than Minnesota, because this is sort of like with Boston College going against Duke. Like Boston College is like going down in pace in a bunch of spots and down in points scored in a bunch of spots. But Michigan's going up, so they're all going to project out real well. But still, both teams are fine. I do like the Minnesota side on this game more than I do the Boston College side against Duke. So both these teams do grade out pretty well for me. Hunter Dickinson has been really a surprise for Michigan this year. He's a freshman for them who's just balled out. He's been really good. He is going to be $8,300. I have him projected for 33 minutes. He's a 1.17 point per minute producer. He has a usage rate of 26.7 and a rebound rate of 18.3. He just projects out really well. Probably one of my highest projected scores of the day. Definitely really like getting the Hunter Dickinson. Then Mike Smith projects out as a really good value at $5,400. I have him projected for 36 minutes today. He's only a 0.64 point per minute guy, which isn't great, but he does have a usage rate of 15.4 and on his high assist rate, 26.7. I do really like that assist rate for Mike Smith at $5,400. He looks like a really good value on today's slate. Definitely someone I want to get to. And then Franz Wagner at $8,500. Him and Hunter Dickinson are pretty much our 2 best players this year. Wagner will probably be in the draft this year. To be honest, he's pretty good. I have him projected for 36 minutes. He is a 1.01 point per minute producer. He has a usage rate 19.6, assist rate 18.1, and rebound rate of 14. Kind of doing a little bit of everything. I think I prefer Hunter Dickinson a little bit here because he's going to get more. He's just a higher point per minute guy and everything, and he's $200 cheaper. But Franz Wagner is pretty good. I do like getting to him as well. I think both of them grade out pretty solid. And then Eli Brooks at $5,800. I have him projected for 34 minutes, 0.63 point per minute guy. The usage rate is 16.6, rebound rate 18.7. Just another guy in the 5K range that grades out as a pretty solid value for me with Mike Smith. I do like getting to both of them. And then Marcus Carr is someone I pretty much like to play every slate. I love getting Marcus Carr because he just does everything for Minnesota, and he plays so much massive minutes. We've seen him play the whole games before. I gave him 37 minutes today. That's a lot of $8,800. He's a 1.02 point per minute guy, usage rate 27.6, and an assist rate 36.6. He just does so much for Michigan. There's been very few slates where Marcus Carr has failed you. Yeah, maybe he hasn't gone absolutely off, but he always feels like a pretty safe play just because he does so much for you, and the upside's there, especially with all the minutes that he plays. So Marcus Carr is definitely someone I have my eye on. I'll definitely be getting some exposure to Marcus Carr tonight. I think that's always a good play. I think literally every single time Minnesota plays, Marcus Carr is a good play. Until they start pricing it at like 9,500, I think Marcus Carr is a good play. So I'm going to keep suggesting him pretty much every video. Damian Harmon, we're going to Oklahoma. Oklahoma going against Baylor now. This is the other game with the really high total, right? Yeah. This game has a total of 151. It's going to favor Butler more than Oklahoma, to be honest. I mean, Oklahoma only has an implied team total of 69, but it is still a high implied game total overall. So definitely still like an exposure to them. This game has a pace of 73.95. That is going to look pretty good as well. When we go look at Damian Harmon, he's just going to look like a good value to me. I didn't really like a lot of guys in Oklahoma. Baylor's a really good defensive team. Probably the best defensive team in the country. They just play a little bit faster pace than someone like Virginia, so they're not as horrible to play players against. But Baylor is, we're going to talk about Jared Butler in a minute, who's probably the best defensive player in the country this year. But Damian Harmon is still someone I do like. He grades out pretty well. He's $5,100. I have him projected for 34 minutes. He's a 0.77 point per minute guy. He has a usage rate 19.3 and an assist rate of 13.7. That grades out pretty well, so definitely someone that I think is worth getting into some lineups. Now we're going to go to the Seton Hall Creighton game where you got Marcus Zegarowski, Mitchell Ballack, and Denzel Mahoney, and then Sandro. I don't even try to do his last name. I just call him Sandro at this point. But this is going to be a game with an implied game total of 147. We have Creighton has an implied team total of 75.9 with Seton Hall at 70.1. Both of them are pretty high total games. Pretty much an average pace game on the slate, so nothing in pace that really sticks out to me. Marcus Zegarowski, $7,200. He's their best player this year. He's a 0.99 point per minute guy, 23.9 usage rate, 24.7 assist rate. All that looks good. He's in a good matchup. I don't think he doesn't stand out to me as one of my top options. We're going to talk about Jared Butler, who really does. There's other guys to pay up, like Hunter Dickinson stands out to me, but Zegarowski's good. And if he gets hot from the 3-point line or he just gets hot scoring, he's going to be optimal today. So I definitely like going there. Mitchell Ballack, I have him projected for 36 minutes, and he's $5,300. Just another 5K guy that I like today. 0.71 point per minute guy with a usage rate of 14.6. That's not really that great, but he's pretty much a 3-point shooter, and if he just gets a little bit hotter than normal, then he's going to be really good for you. So at $5,300, he does project out pretty solid for me. And then Denzel Mahoney at $6,500. I have him projected for 32 minutes. He's almost a whole point per minute guy. Usage rate 22.5. He's been a nice surprise for Creighton this year. I mean, he was coming off the bench last year. He was a good player, but thrust into the starting lineup this year, and he's done really well. So Denzel Mahoney is definitely someone I like at $6,500. He does project out pretty solidly. And then Sandro for Seton Hall, who is their best player. I mean, you can say it's Jerry Roden, but I'll take Sandro all day. I honestly probably thought he should have went to the draft last year. I was kind of surprised he came back. That's a big get for Seton Hall to just retain him. He's $8,100. I have him projected for 38 minutes. He is a 1.16 point per minute guy with a usage rate 28.5 and assist rate 21.7. This is someone like Marcus Carr. They're good. He's a good player every time he's on the floor. He just does so much for this team. He's a high producer, and he's not too expensive. So I always like getting Sandro in lineups. I think he's a great play. As always, I do not hate going there at all. Then we have Alan Flanagan for Auburn. We already talked about how this game was not really anything to be desirable about, but this is the one guy I would get to in Auburn. He's pretty much the only guy who gets consistent minutes on this team, to be completely honest. He's $6,900. I'm projected for 36 minutes. He's a 0.89 point per minute guy, usage rate 21.9, and an assist rate 19. That grades out pretty well. So at $6,900 paying for that usage in those minutes, I'm fine with that. There's probably other places I'd rather get to than Alan Flanagan today than really that entire game, but he's fine. And then we're going to close it out with Baylor with the guy who's on the cover, Jared Butler. He's $8,000. I have him projected for 35 minutes. Oh, yeah, this game has an implied this is the high total, one of the high total games again. Remember, 151 game total. Butler has an implied team total of 80.7, which is one of the highest on the slate. So yeah, they're in a good spot against Oklahoma, who's good, but their defense really isn't all that. So Jared Butler is $8,000. He's been one of the best players in the country this year. Like I said, I think he's the best defensive player in the country this year. I mean, yeah, Marcus Garrett, respect to him and all that, but Jared Butler's been out of his mind this year. 1.31 point per minute producer for him. He has a usage rate of 26.8 and an assist rate of 34.9. His rates are out the window. Just out the window. They're insane this year. $8,000. I don't think that's too much to pay for him. He's cheaper than Marcus Carr, who, I mean, like I said, I love Marcus Carr, but look, 27.6 usage rate for Marcus Carr, 26.8 for Butler, 36.6 assist rate for Marcus Carr, 34.9 for Butler. It's not that far off, and he's $800 less. So I don't hate going there at all, and he isn't honestly in a better matchup. Jared Butler is than Marcus Carr. So just someone that I really like is Jared Butler today, and MACOT projects has a good value as well. He's $6,200. I have him projected for 36 minutes. He's a .93 point per minute guy. If usage rate 21.6. So just another 5 to 6K range player that I just like getting to. So I think that's really all I got to say in this video. Hope you guys got a lot of good information out of this. Make sure to leave a like on it, subscribe to the channel, leave a comment. All that stuff helps me grow a ton. It's much appreciated. If you want to get the spreadsheet with the projections, link down below. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you guys have a great rest of your day, and let's make some money tonight.